There it
Okay,
goes.
it's recording. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through to show you the master, how what you can and what you should and shouldn't do in the master. So you're talking about your friend who wants a, like a report card for each individual child. So again, it's not going to be perfect because obviously there's a lot of data that changes from child to child. The teacher, the subjects, maybe the grades, definitely different things are going to change. But there are some things you can keep consistent, and that's the rule with master. Anything that's going to be consistent and that will not change from slide to slide or from page to page, you should put in a master. So up here, I'm in the pages section here. I'm going to right click where it says master, and I'm going to say new master. Okay, and then you can come in here and we can call this something like report card, because maybe she's going to need more than that. I'm just going to actually have this be one page, because it would be one page. You said one report card per page, right?
Yes.
So make sure that says one page, and we'll say okay. So now if you scroll down, you should see a report card one. Yep. So here's report card, and we'll double click in. So now we are just in this one master. So now this is your new canvas to design however you want it. So I'm just going to do this quick. It's not going to be pretty, but so you could take your your rectangle tool, and you could draw out basically your template for what your report card is going to look like. So I don't know what her report card is going to look like, but you could essentially have this. You could say, I don't know, student name. Grab my black arrow tool, copy this over. Teacher. Black arrow tool. Again, I'm sure there's a lot of other categories and things you would put up here, but just for this. And grade, we'll say those are the things. And then, in a perfect world, you would make sure this is the right font, the right size and everything, and all that good stuff. Then you can just start making your columns or whatever. So, I mean, I don't really know what the subjects are, but maybe your subjects go here individually, right? And you could say, I don't know, science, and then actually this layout probably isn't the best, but basically if these things aren't going to change, let's say pretend these all say different things, right? This is science and art and math and all those different things. This is where so actually you wouldn't want to do the grade. Actually what you would do, this could be like the grade that they're in, I guess, and then down here you could put something over here that says like this is the grade for the subject, and then this is maybe there's like a note section or something.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And then we can just kind of put a line here, and we can put some lines here that kind of keep this thing.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? So it's kind of like this, and then you say, okay, this is probably the best report card I've ever seen personally. So you'd say, okay, here's the report card, awesome. So then you could jump down to your actual pages now, and you could jump in and you could right click on the page and say apply master to the pages. Go to apply master, and you could apply the report card and say okay.
See that.
So now this is on all of them, and so this is where it would get really manual for her. But she could go in and be like, okay, the student's name, and she'd have to write that in, right? Student's name is John, and John's teacher is Mrs. Smith, and John is in, I don't know, 5th grade. And then you just come down here. Then in science, John got a D. John's not doing so great in science. And so then there's some notes, and it's just, here's some notes that they need to think about. And, you could do it like that. So imagine the report card template looks really nice in the master. Then you could go in and just drop all these things in one by one.
Okay.
Actually, as I think about this, what you could do then is after you get the first one done. So let's just pretend that this is done here. And these are all. So to copy these the way I'm copying them, I select what I want. And if you hold Option or Alt, and the minute I hold Option or Alt, I get that extra little white arrow that shows up. You see that?
Yes.
So that means I'm going to replicate or duplicate. And so then I grab whatever the selection I've made. So in this case, it's these two text boxes. I hold Option, I click on one of the boxes, and then I hold Shift and I slide down, and it just copies it for me, so I don't have to do it 100 times. See? And so he didn't do too good. He got D's in all of his subjects.
Okay.
So now what you could do, so you'd come into the next page here, and you would say, Apply Master, and you would go to Report Card again, and so now this page, yeah, okay, there it is. So this one is the new blank one. And so then you could come up actually to this first one, and you should be able to copy these. Let me see if this works. This actually might not work the way I'm thinking it will. And if you just grab, actually, I can just grab it like this. If you grab all this content and copy, and then go back to go to your next page and paste, will it work? Kind of. It didn't line up exactly right, but it might make it go faster, right?
Yeah,
then everything's lined up. Everything's lined up. Then you could go through and say, all right, this is Susie, and Susie's also in this Smith class and also in 5th grade, but Susie got A's, right? And so you could just go through like that. I mean, it's still a manual process,
but it's still a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing will end up how well designed that background is, making sure that that's well designed. The other thing she could do in this, if she wanted to, she could have a lot of different masters. She could have a master for report cards. She could have a master for parent-teacher conferences. She could have a master for lots of different reports and things, and then just apply those masters as she needed them,
So this might be a simple question.
Yeah.
But would all of those masters be in this same workspace, or potentially could be in this same workspace? I mean, so you can have masters A through Z, or
you could have 1,000 of them if you wanted to. This could be, parent-teacher conferences, and this one will just be one, and we'll say okay. And so then if you wanted to apply the new one to it, I mean, it's going to be empty because we didn't design it, but it's saying there's something there. But we could apply it there, and you could have a ton of masters if you wanted them.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. I'm going to change my headphones. They're dying on me. So hang on. Let me see if I lose you if I do this.
All right, can you hear me better?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Awesome. You also had a question, I feel, about, I'll go back in and share my. You also had a question about about this little errors thing.
Hang on, let me find the picture of you. Okay, yes.
Down here it says 2 errors.
Yes.
InDesign is a very helpful product because InDesign is always used, well, not always, but generally the majority of the time InDesign is going to be used for some kind of print work. So printing a magazine or a book or a billboard or something big that's going to be printed. InDesign puts in all of the necessary help to let you know something could be wrong when you try to print this thing, and it kind of gives you the heads up. So what I always do that's not in that video is when I start a brand new product or project, I go up to Window, and I go to oh, I already have it over here. I go to pre-flight. Oh, output. Sorry, I go to output, and I go to pre-flight. Okay, so pre-flight, basically, it basically like keeps you honest as you go. So if you see that you have errors down there and you activate the pre-flight window, you'll see error. It's because of text. I have 2 errors resulting from text. Something about my text it does not like. So if I look at this, I just have two places where I have overset text. So overset text, if you remember, is when you have this. This here is overset text when I have this little red thing here.
Yes.
So watch, we could do an experiment real quick and see what happens. If I, whoops, don't want to zoom in, I want to zoom out. If I go in and just like, maybe I can just delete some of this. Not like that. Oh, come on, computer. Okay. The computer, my brain moves much faster than the computer. Come on, come on. X, thank you. Okay, so if we just go in and start deleting some of this to get it all to fit in this one section. Come on. There we go. See that all fits?
Yes.
And if you notice, as I was doing that, it said checking, and now it only says there's 1 error. See that?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Here. So then you would just go through and you would find where the offset text is. It's hard to see when I'm zoomed out this far. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's somewhere in here. There's some offset text somewhere. Not sure where it is, though. I don't see it. But it's telling me it's there. Oh, right here. Oh, it's because this is their giant thing of it. So, you know, same thing. If I were to go through and just delete a bunch of this out of here, see it said checking.
Oh, yeah. And then now you don't have any errors.
No errors.
Okay.
Sometimes, you know, sometimes you don't care about those errors, and it's like, that's okay. Thanks for warning me. And even when you go to what's called package these, we won't go over that in this class, but I'll give you a quick crash course on packaging. So let's say I wanted to send this file to the printers, right? Here's a magazine or a booklet or something that I want to send to somebody. I'm going to be holding a mail-only COM 130 class, and I'm going to send everything through the mail, and so I want them to have this worksheet in their hands. So I need to send this file to the printers. To do that, they're going to need all of the assets. If I try to just email them an InDesign file, they're going to open up that InDesign file, and they're going to have a lot of errors down here because it's going to say they don't have this giraffe picture, or they don't have this monkey picture, or this picture, or maybe the fonts they don't have, and they don't have this. They're not going to have any of that because InDesign does not keep all the files together. InDesign file is literally the container that holds all this content. So by packaging it, packaging is exactly what it was, the file that you downloaded to get this worksheet. Remember how it had had fonts, it had graphics, it had the files in it, like all of that.
So that's my package.
That's because that file was packaged for you and ready to go. So when you open that, it has everything there. Links, as you start building a lot of different you know, magazines and lots of pages and lots of files and lots of photos. I'll give you an example. For Disney, I designed a book that we did. It was like an end of the year review for our organization, and it was, you know, 60 some pages, and it had, you know, 100 different pictures, and it was just a big file. I had to make sure every one of those links were accounted for, and that's what's over here. So in the links panel, you can see all of these and where they are, and, you know, panels 8, 9, and 10. These are where all those live.
Okay.
If one of those was missing, I'd have a big warning right here and saying you cannot print this because that picture doesn't exist. So that's why you package it and you send it off. So as you package it, as it runs through its little process and program, it will stop. It will say, just so you know, you have 2 errors. Would you like to review those? And you can say, yeah, what are they? And it will say, you have overset text, and you'll say, yep, I know what that is. It's fine. Or, oh, I didn't know I had that. Thanks for checking. I'll go fix it.
Okay, that's good. I can go back and look and see what those 8 things are that I have errors on.
Yeah, I don't think you have 8 of them. I hope you don't have 8.
I think I do. So,
that's the way to find out.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad you recorded that, because now I can go back and check on that.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hang out with you a little bit longer and see if other people come. I really hope other people do, because I kind of wanted to get a feel for the experience that they're having in the class, and that's always so helpful.
That's what it's all about, is hearing. Sometimes it's validating to hear that, you're not the only one that's having a hard time with something specific, or you'll hear someone that's struggling and the answer. Is always nice to be able to answer those things. But we got to get them here first. That's step one.
Right.
I mean, I do know I had probably 3 people at least tell me they were going to come, or said they were excited about it. I haven't had someone. I had a one-on-one with them earlier this week, and they is that this week or last week? It was this week, and they he was like, I have other teachers that do this every day. They're always available, and they do these. Well, okay, they're better people than I am, but I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. But we'll see if he joins.
So what are some of the things that other people are struggling with? I know we talked about being in the Essentials Classic versus Essentials, but are there other parts that maybe?
Yeah, one, and here's where I struggle a little bit, and this is going to sound bad, but I probably get more of the I am more frustrated with the younger folks' questions than the older generation. The older generation, I think, really is trying to figure this out. 99% of the time, the younger ones, I just don't think they read any of like the minimum requirements. Like I just had somebody who said, do I have to take the pictures for the magazine spread? It's like, yeah. And so I always copy and paste what was in there and send it to them. And but a lot of them are simple. The one that I have been investigating a little bit is, I've heard this from a couple people, is the when they open up their InDesign file, it is what is it? What did they say? Oh, it's the text. The text is highlighted pink. And it's because that means that they don't have the font on their computer, and InDesign is trying to find an equivalent font. And so I'm trying to have them just go in and download, because like I just mentioned with the packaging, those fonts are in there. So if for some reason that pink font shows up, it's because InDesign is saying, you don't have that on your computer. What would you like me to do with this font? Like I can't process this because I don't have it. So I've put in some kind of a replacement, but it's not what was intended. So how do you proceed? And so that's why when we package it, we include the fonts so we can make sure that we have those installed.
I bet that's what some of my errors are, because I have some of the
probably
a couple of spots that have the pink highlight.
Yep. And what you can do also, if you have a pink highlight, like I noticed I had one earlier too. I was creating one of my spreads or worksheet, or I forget what I was working on, and I had pink on like half of my sentence, and the other half didn't have it for some reason. That was weird. So I just deleted what was pink, and I typed it again, and it was all fine. Sometimes, like I said, technology is interesting, and it works.
Yeah. See, it goes back to that thing like, oh, I'm caught up with you now. Okay, here. Here's all the tools that you were looking for the first time.
Yeah. Just kidding. Here they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone's very different. A lot of people are very concerned, or I should say, I'm concerned about the time some people are taking on all this stuff. Like some people, like I said, are putting in so much effort, which I appreciate, and I'll make sure that they get credit for the effort they're putting into it. But when they're spending multiple 5, 6, 7 hours on on projects, I want to make sure that they are just doing the bare minimum. That sounds really bad, but I don't want them to stress about the getting things done. I want them to enjoy the process. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. Like, I mean, granted, if you start an assignment on Saturday night or, at 10 o'clock at night, you're probably not going to make it on time and it's going to be late.
Yeah.
We deal with that quite a bit as well. A lot of people turn their stuff in a little bit late. And I tell them, I make them promises. If you turn this in, or if you start the project, the night that it's due, there's a good chance it's probably going to be late, because you're going to run into things that you didn't foresee.
Yeah. Right.
That you're going to stress about. And some people, I know they've been working because they've been emailing me about it all week. And then they go to turn it in right before it's due. And just like with you, like technology decided to eat something that they had working on and they can't find it. And I tell them I will never punish them for the technology not working, especially if they're in communication with me. That's the number one thing in my book is communication. Like, as people are struggling or if they're succeeding, like, I want to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me when I hear from nobody, or I don't hear from somebody, then all of a sudden out of the blue, 2 minutes before it's due, I get an email that says, help, it's going to be late. And it's like, well,
Right.
I know nothing about your process through this. So I encourage people to email me or to call me or text me. And I've been doing a lot of texting this week with a lot of people. I get these random texts on my phone because I don't know who the phone numbers are, And I'm like, is this a telemarketer? And then they explain who they are. But it's good, just hanging out. It's easy to text. I could open the computer, find out where they're having an issue. And because it's hard. Online classes are hard. I think people think they're going to be easy because they're online and they're, I think they're much harder, I think, than being in person in a classroom. Because in a classroom you have, 20 other people around you that are learning at the same pace. You have somebody
Face to face. Yep.
walking around and checking status, and online is just a little bit harder. And there's more.
Well, you have to wait a day sometimes for somebody to get back with you about how to do. And that's the beauty about, like, some of the classes that I've been in where I've been like in a setting like this, and we've had like 3 or 4 other students, and we're all talking and kind of developing that rapport. And then we can text each other and say, hey, did you try this? And I can't get this. And you get more immediate response than if you're trying to get the one teacher who's working that day and has 5 other students trying to pick his brain. And, it's just a little bit nicer to have several people to work with.
Good point. I mean, maybe I should do that. I mean, it's probably too late this time, but I should probably set that up at the beginning of the semester and put people in groups and say, these are your study buddies. The hard thing about the beginning of the semester, though, is I don't know who's sticking around, because I mean, I probably had 10 people from each class drop, and I still have people who I've never heard from that are still enrolled in the class.
Wow. So in my communications class, I think it was like by the 3rd week, maybe the 4th week, our teacher had broken us up into groups of 3 or 4, no more than 4. And so how did that work? The 4 of us were supposed to decide a time when we could meet every week, and we would, like in this instance, we would discuss our magazine spread and what we expected or what we wanted from it. And there was some accountability in there. It was like there were 3 basic questions that we sent to the teacher and said that this is what the other students and I talked about, and this was their response, and this was my response. And that one class, I still have, I still keep in touch with the other 3 students. And, like, like for instance, one of them, she just graduated, and I knew that she had taken this class. And so I said, hey, Chris, I don't understand what they're asking me to do with this project report. I mean, there's things on here that I don't recognize. And she goes, okay, first of all, that report is used for 4 different projects.
Yeah.
So what you're reading here and here and here, those are for the other projects. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. And, you know, she kind of broke it down for me so that, because that, the first time we see the project report,
yeah,
that little paper is a little bit overwhelming, and the instructions on it are not clear. And so it's like, whoo, blew me out of the water. But you know, she was able to walk me through that. And then I was like, oh, okay, I got this. And so I've been successful in the class ever since. But how would I have done that,
yeah,
you know, if I didn't know her?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. And that is good. What I like most about all of that is the relationship that you formed with the other students. Like that's the best part, and that's what I want. Like I, you know, if I were to do something like that, I wouldn't. I don't think, anyways, I would want the whole like send me 3 questions back and give me a report on your meeting. Like that's not. I mean, that feels like busy work, right? I don't want you guys to have to do that, but I would maybe there's still time. Maybe from now to the end of the semester, we can do that. Maybe, you know what? I'm gonna make a note and just. I like that a lot. Yeah. I like that a lot. I think I'm going to do that and start putting you guys in groups. How many you said there were 4 of you in a group?
4 at most, 3 to 4.
Yeah, because you don't want too many of them, but you also
right.
don't want just like 2 people in a group.
Yeah, and like I've been in groups before in some really hard classes, and I mean, I would never have made it through those courses, like business fundamentals. I don't know if you know anything about that class, but it's this software that's like really intense. It's got some accounting type stuff in there, and you know, you're developing products, and I mean, it's intense class.
Yeah.
Took it over the summer, insane. But if I hadn't been in a group with these 2 other girls, we wouldn't have done it, because I was the visual arts type person.
Yeah.
Not that I knew anything about that type of stuff, but the other 2 didn't know anything, and they knew more about, like, the other girl knew how to upload our work into the format that the teacher needed, and the other girl knew how to actually apply the principles that we were learning. And between the 3 of us, we were able to really come up with a good product. But you know, and just things like that help you to build those relationships. So yeah, and sometimes when you have a group, maybe you and one other person come to the group, or you know, and talking about the accountability thing, one of my classes, the only accountability we had was did all of the people in your group participate? And so basically you give a participation grade, I guess.
Yeah.
To where you say, no, I was the only one there, or Lisa and I were there, but Catherine wasn't, you know, that type of a thing. So that if it means anything to the person to boost their grade, then they participate. And if they don't, then,
yeah,
you know, it doesn't happen.
Okay. Well, yeah, I like that a lot. I think I'm going to start doing that starting next week. I'm going to set this up and put everybody in groups, and what was the best way for you guys to communicate? Did you guys call each other? Did you guys get together through?
We initially, how did we do that? Initially we Zoomed.
Okay.
And I think in the communications class, I'm trying to remember, the teacher gave us like a list of times that we could choose from as our Zoom time on our teacher's Zoom page.
Oh, okay.
We had that, but I think most of us were like responsible enough, I guess, that we did our own Zoom page. And so like I was in charge of doing the meeting like three times, and then the next person would do it for the next 3 times, and we kind of broke it up like that.
Okay.
But yeah, we Zoomed.
Yeah, because that's the best. Like Zoom is great, being able to see each other and share screens, and
Yeah,
that is good.
yeah.
I just don't know if everyone has access to do that. I don't know if they know how to get onto Zoom.
Well, they should. I mean, if they don't, this is a great opportunity for them to get started on that experience, because everything BYUI does online,
Yeah.
almost every class has Zoom.
Yeah. So, and you have your own Zoom classroom, like your own Zoom meeting room?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, they have us, I don't know, somewhere back there, they had us set it up.
Okay,
And
good.
that was part of.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm going to do that. See, this is more valuable for me than it was for you.
Hey, you never know. Well, don't be discouraged if it doesn't play out this semester.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just because it sounds like you've got a couple of groups that it might be difficult to get them going on something like that anyway.
It might, or maybe it's what they need, right? Maybe it's
Yeah,
what they've been waiting for, and
exactly.
yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you go because nobody's coming.
Yeah, I'll probably hang out for another little bit, and we'll see if anyone shows up.
Can you send this recording to me though, because it's got some good stuff in there that you went over.
Yep, I will send that to you.